Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to today's video. Today guys, I have 37 minutes of recording left, storage on my device. And today guys, I'm going to be going over how not to buy a lemon. Because as you guys know, recently, or as a lot of you guys know, yeah, pretty much everybody knows who's watching this, but I have recently invested in a lemon. I bought my first car. I was excited, a little too excited, and I kind of jumped into it too fast. And I ended up buying a lemon. So today, guys, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what my thought process was, or not exactly, but what my thought process is now on what to look out for when looking for a actual, not lemon car. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the definition of lemon is. All I know is that it's a car that you buy, and that ends up to be a fake. It ends up falsely advertised, and it is just not a good thing. All right, and I'm gonna give you guys 7 tips on what I think is necessary, and some things that other people don't really get to, that I think is necessary to pay attention to when buying a car in order to not get a lemon. So I'm gonna go over those today, guys, and Alright guys, so the first thing that you have to look out for when purchasing a car is checking the registration date. Now, I know it might not seem like a lot to a lot of people, but it was very necessary for me to do when I was buying the car, and sadly, I never noticed it until after I bought the car. See, when I bought my car, I didn't check the registration date. It's such an obvious thing, it's just sticking right out there on the windshield, and I never looked at it. But what I didn't realize is that on that registration date, the date was in 2018, which means that my car had not been driven for 5 years. So yeah, that was a good discovery, once I figured that out. But that was also after I figured out that the car was completely kaput. So lots of fun. And honestly, I feel like this is one of the more important things. It just, for some reason, it could make a huge difference when you're buying a car and you realize, oh my god, this car has not been driven in 5 years. It's done. So yeah, just check the date, please. Second tip, something I recommend is when I bought my car, obviously there was nothing I could do, like, I couldn't just take out my toolkit and take apart the car, I couldn't really see anything inside of it. And along with that, the seller, he did something that I will mention in a later tip that made it impossible for us to start the car. So really, I had no way of knowing what was going on in the internals of this car, and that is something you really need to be careful of, because it's something that you cannot see. And I mean, it might look good on the outside, it might be mighty fine, it might have like something like new coil packs or something that you can see. It might just have, external parts, and it might look good, but on the inside, you really never know what's going on unless there are obvious signs. So be very careful. Third thing I'd say that is definitely very important is, the seller themselves. And I might mention this a couple times throughout this video, but there are certain things that the seller might show to you, like some signs that they are not particularly honest with you, or, that they might not know something. And there are many different, things you can tell, or many different things that you can see in a seller's facial expressions and their talking, and, just how they explain things to you, especially. It is, sometimes, it's not always most trustful people out there. Facebook Marketplace is a dangerous place. And the fact that this was an auto sales place, and that it was obvious that they had already tried to work on it, it seemed like they were just trying to sell it and get it out and trying to make some profit on it. So it was definitely, the wrong decision. I should have looked at the signs first, what the seller was trying to tell me, but sadly, I fell for his tricks. Number 4, another very important tip, and one that I definitely did not follow. Obviously, all of these are from my mistakes. Everything that I've learned from my mistakes. But one of the biggest parts and the biggest reasons why I bought this car specifically is because I was impatient. Obviously, I had a lot of time until I had to get my license, but I was so excited to get a car. I had the money, so I went ahead and I found this cheap car that was absolutely horrible, and I bought it. I don't know why I bought this. It just, it felt right in that very moment, and from after, it still felt right, but it wasn't right. So yeah, all I can say with that is just be patient. Do not rush things because it won't end up well. Fifth tip I have would be to not try and look at everything as a positive and don't take new parts as a good sign because realistically, new parts honestly that would be more of a bad sign. But more about being positive about the car is looking at everything that's good about it. But you really don't want to do that. Instead, you want to try and look at all the negatives and see how much you can negotiate the price. And it's more important that you look at the negatives because you might not see something if you're just looking at the positives. It's very risky, and I would not recommend it. Sixth tip I have is don't let the seller try to downplay some of the issues that that car has. When we were talking with the seller throughout the first 2 days, throughout the 2 days that we were looking at it, actually, the seller was trying to talk to us and consider, what the issue with the car actually was. Of course, it went out of time. It was blown and it was destroyed. But I don't even think the seller knew that at that point. So what he tried to do was consider every other option. And of course, me and the person I went with were also going along with that, and we were trying to figure out what it was, and we were pointing the blame at like some computer issues, some wiring issue, some, I don't know, any type of issue. And it just didn't end up well for us because we ended up thinking, oh, that can't be big of a deal, right? But in the end, it ended up costing us a lot of money. A lot. So the final tip that I have, I'm not sure if there were actually 6 or 7. I'm just going off a list that I create for these type of videos. But the final one, which kind of ties in with being patient, is don't be afraid to walk away. If there are bad signs, if you are not confident, just remember that there are plenty of cars out there. And, I know most of you want your first car and you want to, you want to have that satisfaction. But it is important to be patient and don't be afraid to walk away. All these other tips that I've shown you, they can be for anybody. But one of the biggest and most important things to take into consideration is being patient. It is just so important because it was the one big mistake that I made. And I'm sure I wouldn't have made this mistake if I were grown up and I knew what I know today. So, as you guys know in the beginning, I mentioned that I had bought myself a lemon. And if you guys went to my previous video, you might have seen that car. It was my first car, and I don't actually have it yet. You see, that was just a video of me talking about it. I thought I was going to have it at this point. God, I spit. At this point, but I just don't because, more things have come up. It's a car that hasn't been driven in 5 years, so there's a lot of things to take into consideration. If you guys want to see a video of me going over everything that was wrong with the car and, having some other videos on, the mistake I made, then make sure you follow the channel. Give me a subscribe. Hit that. Give me a subscribe. Really? Okay. Hit that like button and especially hit that notification bell. And make sure that you never miss a video because I will be uploading more bangers as it comes on. And soon enough, I'm going to be actually receiving the car and it is going to be what I'm going to be making videos on. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.